welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Happy Tuesday. It is How to Tarot Tuesday. And what that is every week we post a video here on my channel that talks about one of the 78 card tarot. In that video, the first deck is always the Rider-Waite-Smith, and then I choose two other tarot decks that I think best represent the card in question. The beginning of the video, we talk about the meaning of the card. We talk about the symbolisms and what it means when you read it in a tarot spread. And then the second part of the video, you, the viewer, get to choose from the three tarot decks. And then we go ahead and do a quick spread to see how this card is manifesting in your life. Today we're going to be clarifying with the Intuit Oracle cards. And I'm just going to go ahead and just do a quick introduction. If you ever want to jump straight to the how-to part or to your reading, the timestamps are listed in the description box below, as are the names and the authors of the decks and materials that I use. Now, today is kind of an interesting card. The last few weeks we've been talking about the Swords suit. And the Sword suit is really quite interesting. In tarot, I always say there are no bad cards in tarot, but the Swords suit is a very interesting one because it seems like every other card, you know, the Ace is real positive, the 2 is a challenge, the 3 means heartbreak, you know, 5 means being conquered or, you know, win-lose situations. So as you go through the deck, it's like there's some very, very, you know, for the swords meaning thought, there's some very stringent kind of cards. So, you know, a few of them get a little bit tough. But one thing that I love about reading tarot, and especially when we come across the cards like the 3 of Swords or the 5 of Swords or the 10 of Swords, is that, you know, there are some really deep meanings in it. And a lot of times when we see a quote-unquote bad card, you immediately want to rush past it, right? We never want to really analyze something that looks like a hard energy. But today's card, I think, I just wanted to give the preface. Today's card is another one of those really kind of tough cards, but it's not just, you know, it's not just black and white. It doesn't just mean it's the blank, you know, the default meaning of the card. And that's what I enjoy about reading cards, is that, you know, as we get through it, you know, we'll get a chance to talk about kind of the fun meanings. And yeah, the 7 of Swords is kind of fun when you actually dig into it, when you actually get to the meat of what it means. So, and again, if you ever want to jump straight to the reading, the timestamps are listed below, but I just wanted to go ahead and give that preface. And I did just want to, you know, just kind of give a caution, you know, let's go ahead and this is going to be another one of those very multifaceted kind of cards, because the 7, when you look at it, it means a lot of things. So as we talk about it, you know, go ahead and pull out the teacups, because we're going to spill the tea, right? You know, we're going to get into it, right? And we keep it real on this channel, right? We keep it real. Now, because it's a little bit of a toughie card, I have been clarifying my reads with Oracle, and today I decided to go with the Intuit Oracle by Kimberley Fisher. The information is listed below, but what it is it's a little bit of a Lenormand-based card deck, but it has really descriptive meanings. And the reason that I kind of wanted to go with it, I was really drawn to go with it for this read, because when you get into the 7, we talk a lot about we talk a lot about deception. We talk a lot about things going on behind the scenes. And as we talk about that, this deck is one that I turn to whenever I want the honest truth, right? Anytime I want to know what's going on in a situation, this is an excellent deck. It's very, very well done, and the images really speak to me. So, and again, if you want to skip the how-to part, you can go to the timestamps. One caveat with the how-to is that you can be an experienced reader and still get something from the how-to part. It's funny, I've read cards for a long time, and it's amazing. Every video I seem to see something new. Sometimes I glean a new interpretation that I've never interpreted before. Sometimes when I visit the How to Tarot and I rewatch it after it's done, I see something, you know, that I missed. So I do entreat you, if you see something that if you see something in the read, you do not have to be a card reader in order to, you know, find a new interpretation. You know, please feel free to leave a comment. And also, if you like my content, I would be very honored if you would like, comment, or subscribe. It definitely helps my channel to grow. But that said, let's go ahead and get into it. This one is a fun one. Like I said, fun with a kind of tight grin on your face, right? And today we are talking about the Seven of Swords. And the Seven of Swords, you see a man wearing a tunic. He has a very unique kind of hat. He almost looks like, he almost looks like a soldier, right? His boot and his hat's they're both red trimmed, which kind of means passion, or it means action, right? And what you see is in the distance, you see kind of a desert landscape, and you see kind of tents in the background, right? That have flags. And in the distance, you see mountains. You see two swords sticking into the ground, and you see him carrying 5 swords, and he's looking back behind him, right? Now, his expression is one of a little bit of chagrin. It looks like he's getting away with something, right? Either that, or he's checking behind him to see if he's being followed, right? And then it looks very quiet in the backdrop, right? You don't see any other persons, just the person who's walking away. And when you look at his feet, he's not really walking as much as he's tiptoeing, right? He seems to be taking careful steps as if he doesn't want to be seen or heard. So when you look at that, the first meaning and the meaning that none of us like, is that this person's doing something sneaky, right? One reader here on YouTube that I really admire, she's actually one of the first readers I started watching on YouTube before I even started reading for myself. Her name is Amy, and her channel is Spirit Connection, but she's really, really sweet. She's a great reader, and she always calls it her Sneaky Pete card, right? Mr. Sneaky is what she says. She's got the adorable New York accent, but Mr. Sneaky and Sneaky Pete is exactly what you think this person's doing, right? He seems to be taking swords, and swords are thoughts, right? Swords, also swords are materials, swords are things that you can fight with, right? And he's just picking up and kind of sneaking away with them. And when you look at him, he's not wearing armor, right? He's wearing a tunic, so he really doesn't look like he's somebody who should be allowed to be taking swords, right? And the fact that he's tiptoeing and the fact he's looking behind him, he really looks like he's up to no good, right? Up to no good. So, yes, so the first thing that you see is you see someone doing something dishonest, right? You see someone running away. And it's definitely kind of a card. So the first thing you think is someone who's shirking responsibility. You think someone who's sneaking off or leaving or stealing. Definitely it can be a theft card. But a lot of times it's somebody who, while the 5 of Swords was that real win-lose situation where the 5 of Swords is more open dishonor, like, haha, I win. This is more hidden dishonor. It's definitely someone who wants to get away with it, right? He's looking behind him and being quiet because he does not want to be caught, right? So the first thing that we, and when the card comes up in a reading, if it, the surrounding cards always tell the story, right? We read it together. But the first thing that you think is that someone's pulling a fast one, right? That someone's trying to get over on you, or that you're being deceived. And as we go through the descriptions, it can be self-deceit as well, because these are thoughts, right? Swords is mental energy. So sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be an outward expression. But what you also kind of see is you see someone one thing that I always notice is that you see the tents. The tents are open, like they have kind of the doors of them are kind of open. So you can tell he's close, he's in the he's right in the center of the action, right? This is someone who's going in and he's this isn't someone who's far away from the center of his action. So that's something that I do take into consideration when this card comes up in a spread. This is someone who's really close to the danger. They're very close to getting caught. This is also one other meaning that it is that it usually means somebody who and we'll get into that in a minute, but it's someone who likes to be close to in the danger zone, right? They're in the zone where they, and honestly, sometimes when you see this energy manifest, it's someone who likes the thrill of nearly being caught, right? So that's another meaning. But the first way that we kind of read it is that you definitely see it as being, and again, it being hidden. It's someone who doesn't want to be caught, right? Again, the Five of Swords is like, hey, look at me, I won, right? They'll own the title of, hey, look, I won. This person is more of and again, kind of like shirking responsibility. This person doesn't want to be seen, but they are doing something that is not right, right? It doesn't look like those swords are his, but he's out of 7 swords, he's walking away with 5 of them, or he's trying to, right? The other thing that you kind of see is that one thing that I kind of notice is that, it can be someone who's kind of hiding from the truth. And that's where this card gets a very negative connotation, is that, because again, when you see it with swords, the first thing that I kind of think of, and especially with this being a page, and something about the way that he's dressed, right? We've seen other cards where, the pages had like almost like a beret with a feather. Here he has kind of like one of those pill hats with fur on it, right? And the other thing that I kind of get is, what I've always affiliated this with is, there's a great show on television that talks about the histories of people, and I like to see those episodes that talk about double agents, right? And I remember one time I was watching an episode, I think it was Mysteries at the Museum, and it was talking about this French woman who was a spy during World War II, right? And what it was is she completely made out like she in order to infiltrate the enemy base, right? Because what does this look like, right? What does this look like? Someone's sneaking off, right? In order to infiltrate an enemy base, she had to pretend as if she were a part of the opposite side, right? She had to pretend like she was for the German cause. And what happens is, she, and what you see there is, when you think of a double agent, you think of someone who has a certain allegiance, right? She had an allegiance to France and the Allied forces, but yet she was pretending like she was a part of the Nazi Germany regime. And what she was doing is she was sneaking away information, right? And what are thoughts? What are swords? That's written documents. Those are emails, right? And what happens is, the reason that you don't want to get caught is because you're pretending like you're part of one regime, but you're really fully with another, right? And that's what you see with 5 swords. And, 5 means conflict, and 7 means, it's another odd number, right? It's not stability. It's not an equal. It's unequal, right? But one thing that I definitely see of that with this card is that, yes, while it means deception, while it's somebody's trying to get away with something, sometimes that can be someone getting away with something for a particular reason, right? So one way that I kind of read that is that maybe someone is acting sneaky or concealing what they really think, which is swords, right? Because they are of one allegiance, but they're pretending to be of another. And there's kind of a few different examples that I think with that. If someone's acting really strange around you, it could be because they might be legitimately showing you their real side, but they have to keep up a front on another quote unquote side, right? And again, it's almost like they're sneaking away. They're showing you one side while they're, appealing to another. And that can be in a friend group. It can be in a clique. It can be in a work environment. And again, I don't think necessarily people want to ideally be in that kind of situation. But again, a lot of times when you see this, the first kind of indication is more of a purpose, of a purposeful deception, right? So this could potentially be a friend who is acting like they're your confidant, but then they're taking your careful your this would be someone, it would be someone who's telling your secrets, right? Maybe someone's acting like they're on their side, but then they're turning around and telling either all of your secrets or talking about you behind your back. The other thing is that sometimes if it's a work context, maybe there's this expectation that you be kind of with the status quo, but really inside you do not feel the same, right? And we'll elaborate on that when we get to the third deck. But a lot of times it's kind of putting on that false face, right? It is someone who's wearing a mask. Now, in a relationship sense, if you see this next to cups, that's where the seven of swords definitely gets a bad rep, because you see this person, the way that he's walking, you can see it as being someone stepping out on someone, right? So this could definitely be someone who's playing the field. If you see the seven of swords next to maybe the knight of cups in reverse, it's a little bit scary, the knight of wands in reverse. It would mean someone who's definitely playing the field, who might be playing more than one relationship or more than one person. And they're definitely, what they're doing is they're kind of pretending like they're with one person, and they're giving that person the complete impression that they're on their side, but then they're turning around and giving their thoughts to someone else. So definitely this could, and if you see this next to the three of swords, if you see this next to the three of cups, if you see this next to a knight card, because it usually does mean someone who's a little bit more immature, it can mean a sign of infidelity. It can also mean that somebody's just not being themselves. If you see this next to the nine of cups, sometimes it can be someone who doesn't know who they are, right? Because a lot of times I see this come up when someone's trying to be what, I see it come up in relationship reads when someone's trying to be what the other person wants them to be, right? It's almost like they don't know their own self. When I'm around you, I'm going to put up the front that what you want me to be, I'll be. But behind the scenes, I really think and feel something different, right? But a lot of times it can be wearing a mask and, again, being deceptive. Sometimes this can mean this person deceiving themselves, where they don't even know who they are. Sometimes you can see it in family dynamics, where if somebody is expecting you to be, like if a parent has certain expectations of you, but then you really think something else. Like maybe I always think of that scene in the movie She's All That, when Freddie Prinze Jr., his dad wants him to go to his college, go to his alma mater. But Freddie Prinze Jr. really doesn't know what he wants to do. He doesn't know what college he wants to go to. So he's almost kind of like appeasing his dad, and he's doing it with words, right? He's almost putting up a front like, yeah, sure, Dad, I'll go to your college, but behind the scenes, he doesn't even really know what he wants to do. So he's kind of procrastinating. That's another thing. Someone could be procrastinating, because that's swords too. Like, okay, yeah, I'll do my homework. Okay, yeah, I'll do this. They're making it sound like they're gonna do it, but they're really not, or they're hesitant. A lot of times it can be covering someone's tracks, and this is where it kind of goes into the second deck. And I went with the vice versa tarot. With the vice versa tarot, the card back is seen as the reverse. And you actually see a skull there, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But this was a really beautiful depiction, because this person looks a little bit more stealth, right? He doesn't look as smug in expression. But one thing you notice is you see the same tent with the open door flap. But what you see is you see two guards, though, right? So again, this is more of, this is someone covering their tracks, right? Which also plays into the real negative meaning. That's why, when card readers see this card, it's like, again, sneaky Pete, something's going on here, right? You're covering your tracks. You're trying not to be discovered. But when I do see this card, particularly this card, when it's that close to the action, The first thing it kind of tells me is that if this person does have to cover their tracks, sometimes if it's surrounded by more honest and kind of positive cards, it can mean that somebody's in a very precarious situation. And there's a reason why they have to be deceitful, right? There's a reason they have to cover their tracks. Now, in a more negative sense, like if you see this next to like the Nine of Cups or like a real cocky kind of character, like maybe, the Knight of Wands in reverse or the Emperor in reverse, it can be very well that the Seven of Swords can be someone who likes the thrill of battle like that, right? Someone who's trying to get away with something and they kind of almost like a voyeurism, will I get caught? Will I not? There's kind of a gamble in it and they get a thrill from that. So in the real negative sense, and that's why this card is a little bit feared, is that it can be someone who's like that. And that type of character is really, when we get into the reversal, we'll kind of see how karma plays a big role, because in reverse or in the in the alternate, in the flip, this person, when you get caught, it's pretty ugly because you've got a whole army behind you, right? It's almost like, again, it's like the double agent, it's the spy, it's the person who's doing something even though. But a lot of times I do kind of see, and especially with this depiction, it can be someone who's keeping up a front for a really kind of serious reason. And if it isn't because they like the thrill of the action, so to speak, some people really are in it for, the, hey, can I get away with this? Sometimes it can be that somebody finds themselves in a real heated situation. Now, this can be if you have two family members that disagree. Sometimes I see this if you have parents that are not divorced, but they're fighting like really, really bad, like they're about to get divorced, and you feel like you're kind of in the middle, where you kind of have to be one person, for mom and another person for dad. And it's almost like you almost have to keep, and when we get into the third deck, we'll talk about that some more. It's almost like you have to keep your real intentions to yourself. The other thing is that I can see this if it's in a work context. It can be that you really have power players above you, and it definitely, if you have some Emperor in the reverse around you, if you have some really tough cards in this situation, you might have someone who has to put up a certain front. Also, it can be a situation if it's love related where this person might like being with you, but they have to tread carefully either with their family. And again, it's not good energy. It's crappy ass energy. But if they are, separated, or if they're in the position where someone could really take them to the cleaners, either financially or emotionally, they're going to tread carefully. And that's where they're going to act a little weird around you, because they might be showing you their true side, but they have to keep up this front, and you might blow their cover, right? That's the thing about this. It's like being a double agent. It's like we said with the first deck, if you're a double agent, if you're a spy, you can't be outed, right? It would get you into a lot of trouble. Now, one other thing that I kind of see with this is that, and actually I was just real quick on a romantic note, if that's, I was watching the movie Mona Lisa Smile came on with Julia Roberts. It didn't get real good reviews, but I always liked it. It is a little bit of a feminist kind of movie. It talked about feminine empowerment, and it talked about the role of women in the mid-50s, which has come a long way, right? We're still going a long way. But what I loved about the moral of the story was there was one scene where it was a subplot in the movie where this girl Connie, I think it's played by Jennifer Goodwin, she's a little bit of a homely looking girl, still beautiful, right? But she feels like in the mid-50s, the theme of the film was like, your education doesn't matter as long as you get married, right? The goal of a woman was to have a husband and a home. That was her security, right? And Connie felt like she would never find a husband because she was, she had a different body type. She wasn't as, the pinnacle of perfection like her friends were. And she gets set up on this blind date with her friend's cousin. But the friend is a little bit of a vindictive character, and she kind of puts it in Connie's ear that the cousin was a favor, right? But So she goes out with the cousin Stuart. So Stuart and Connie go to the Cape, which is in New England in winter, and you can only imagine how cold if you go to Cape Canaveral in winter. But she's having a great time, and she's so in love with him. But him and Stuart and Connie come back to the main hotel, the main resort, and he sees this older couple in the dining area, and he starts acting really weird, and he's like, "Oh my God, those are the McDonald's or the O'Connells or something," and he's like, "I gotta hide, I gotta duck." Right? And she thinks he's acting really, really strange. And she plays along. She plays along. But later, it becomes one of those romantic subplots where there's miscommunication. And at first, she just thought it was strange. And that's what I really kind of think of when if it's more of the kind meaning of the Seven of Swords in a love scheme. In the movie, it turns out that those were the parents of his ex-girlfriend. And he had been broken up with the ex for 6 months, but he was, the whole theme was, there was a lot of authoritarianism with the families involved, so he didn't want to cross paths. And it was making him act shady, right? Made him act really shady. And that's this, right? It's like he had to keep one face, a certain persona in front of the O'Connells, even though his true intentions or his true thoughts or his true feelings was with Connie. And it resulted in this whole misunderstanding where she thought he was hiding her, and that played into her insecurity, and it fueled her pain because she was being a little deceived. He didn't come out and tell her what was going on, right? He was just acting shady as shit. Pardon my French. But that's the other theme that I get here, is that sometimes it can be someone who's acting shady because they don't want to be outed. Now, in an extreme, and I definitely see it with the vice versa deck, is that it can be someone who's participating in something kind of shady. It could be someone who got involved in something that's a little bit dangerous. Now, this person may have the one kind of continuance with the seven is this person went into this of their own will. They might have been kind of pressured into it. To be completely honest, sometimes this can be drug dealing. Sometimes this can be your friends, getting you into some bad stuff. Maybe you broke and entered. Maybe you got too rowdy one night. Definitely, if you see this next to Wands cards, it could be that they have to tread lightly because they have to get away with something. But a lot of times the Seven of Swords character kind of got himself into his own crap, right? So whether or not, long story short, the reason that, tarot card readers are kind of hard on this card is because whether or not your friends talked you into it or they didn't, whether or not the O'Connells are having breakfast at the resort, you got into your own shit, right? And if it's relationship related, maybe you do have kind of a drama ex. Either that or, if this is family related, you can see this in a family dynamic where either you have to tread carefully with someone and you can't really show them what you really think. Either that or you might be doing something kind of illegal, right? You might be trying to do something illegal, and what might be happening is this person has to deceive you or keep things under wraps in order to not blow their cover. Now, the last interpretation that we go with is the Starseeker Tarot. And I knew this the moment, this was actually the reason, this card was the reason I bought this deck. I did a flip through here on my channel if you want to check it out, and I talked about that. But what you see is somebody with 7 swords, and this is a really beautiful interpretation, and I loved, because just like a lot of swords, when you look at the 3 of Swords, it's the same image in every tarot deck just about. And the 7's very similar. You can see there's very little variance, right? But I think this author, this is probably the first time I've ever seen this kind of interpretation of this card, is that you see someone, this is a tree trunk, right? It's the cut out notch of a tree trunk, and he's got 7 swords. And it looks kind of like a younger person. You can't tell if it's male or female. And they're all tucked up, hiding in a tree with all these swords. And what you kind of think of is you think of someone who's hiding out in the woods, right? Hiding out in the woods. They're taking their swords and they're hiding. And what I think is so beautiful about this card is because just like the other Sneaky Pete interpretations, this could be someone who stole all the swords and ran into the woods. The other thing is that you do get the same sense of impending danger, because when you think about it, any adventure movie you've ever seen, sometimes the safest hiding place is not to run, but to disguise yourself, right? Like when you watch Hunger Games, Peeta's injured and he can't run, but what does he do? He camouflages himself to look like he's a tree trunk. And it's the same thing. Like you see a lot of adventure movies, the person, is hiding behind a tree right as the army is walking, 2 feet behind them. That's kind of the image that you get here. You get the sense that this person is really close to the danger. And that's one thing that you got to really stress, is that sometimes, yes, somebody might be acting strange. It's because they're really close to danger, right? Stuart in Mona Lisa Smile, he was close to his ex's parents. That's right in the danger zone. This can be someone who has to maintain a certain image at work. And if you walk up and start talking to them casually, they'll act shady, right? Someone who's acting shady. But there's a reason for it. They can't be outed. But the last interpretation, and this is again a little bit more on the positive side, is that just like with like a divorcing family, sometimes the Seven of Swords is somebody who has to keep a different opinion than the status quo. It's almost like they would be outnumbered, right? Because you see more guards, and when you see flags and tents, you see an establishment, right? And these are all war analogies, right? This is a status quo here. It almost looks like a battle. And you see this person is not wearing armor. All 3 of these cards, they are wearing like cloaks, right? They're wearing tunics. These are not soldiers, right? They're not soldiers. They're not equipped to do battle with an entire army. So and when you think in a strategic kind of war kind of mindset, if you know somebody who's in the military, sometimes the single man, and this is a 7. Like when you look at the 7 of Wands, it's one person going up against the army, right? This is one person standing their ground. The 7 of Swords can be that one person that doesn't have the wherewithal to take on an army, so they have to hide, right? They're smaller, but they're also pivotal, right? Like what is it, when the other day I saw there's something that came up about, like, it was the anniversary of Paul Revere, and that was one man running through, galloping on horseback through a village saying, the British are coming, the British are coming. It's like, it's the one thing that you can do. You can't take on the army yourself, right? But one thing that I kind of see with this is that I do, and this is a new interpretation that I've gotten, that is a little bit of a positive one, is that it's the person that isn't allowed to say what they think, right? And I love this interpretation because it looks like a younger person, right? So while it can be, treachery and it can be deception, sometimes it can be the person who has to hide their thoughts, right? Because they have, if they admit their thoughts or their feelings to something, they'll be overrun, they'll be conquered, right? They'll be caught. So sometimes I do see this, if it's pertaining to a younger person. It could be someone who's maybe raised in a family dynamic, or that, and it can pertain to a lot of things. I'm not trying to badmouth any reason for it, but maybe you're raised in a house that's very staunchly religious, and you feel like you're different, right? You can't really express your opinion because someone will try to change you, right? So you have to keep it hidden. You have to sneak. You have to put on a mask. Same thing with work. Maybe you're in a profession that just really, I kind of see this next as a card that, when you have to lie or you have to put on a certain persona that's not you. And I honestly don't think, and again, with the seven being like, I do say that a lot of times you're the maker of your own misery. Why are you going to keep yourself in a job that, makes you behave that way? Because that's not healthy. But sometimes you find yourself in that situation, right? Maybe, you want to move up in your career, and in order to do it, you have to play a certain role. And that role might not be you. I definitely see the Seven of Swords, especially the Star Seeker one, as somebody that when, that person that has to put on that smiling face, even though you feel like your face is going to crack from the superficiality of it, right? You're not showing your true self. Sometimes you see this in a lot of social, social diversity situations. Like if you see somebody who's of a certain background and they're surrounded by people who they know oppose their beliefs, it would be, it would be like that. Like, okay, I have to, again, they're close to the danger zone. They almost have to put on a different mask. And this can be, just to throw it out there, and I'm, not trying to be, trigger warning, I'm not trying to be controversial, but, it could be if you're of a certain race or culture and you're surrounded by people that would not approve of that, or may make you feel like an outcast because of it, right? Maybe of your certain religion, I know we're going into a very political time. Maybe, if you're going to dinner at your family's house and everybody's Republican and you're Democratic, or, you're Republican and they're Democratic, or, where everybody's got varying opinions about stuff. It's almost like you have to keep to yourself. You're not really, you have to, I remember, and this can also play into sports. I remember one time my sister and I went on a trip. We went on a retreat, and it was being housed in a major city that was the home base of the team that is the rival of our football team. And oh my gosh, we saw the emblem of their emblem everywhere, like when we go out to eat. And it was funny, we went out to eat, and the waiter was just being friendly, and they're like, so where are you from? And we tell them where we're from, and we're like, oh my god, don't spit in my food, right? And we kind of looked, we're looking around like, okay, we're way behind enemy lines, right? That's kind of what it feels like, way behind enemy lines. So it could be that maybe you're going to a football game, or any sports game that's baseball, any type of rivalry where you might get your butt beat in the parking lot if you if you say what you think. Now, the last meaning, and again, a more positive one, because again, with the first two cards, a lot of times, the last card kind of and is also a little bit more of a softer meaning, is that a lot of times it means the lone wolf, right? It's the lone wolf. It's the person that almost has to, because they know they won't fit in, right? Because they know they won't fit in, it's almost like they have to kind of steal what they need, right? It's like, okay, society won't accept me, so I need to sneak into town and get my groceries and head right back out, right? And it's also the mentality of, I don't need anybody, right? I don't need anyone. And again, and it when it comes down to feeling isolated, so like if this is next to the Five of Pentacles, or if this is next to the Four of Cups, a lot of times it can feel really isolating. Like maybe, and again, to put it in a modern context, maybe you're gay and you've come out of the closet and people are not accepting of that. So then when you get around people who are staunchly against that sexual orientation, you might feel like you have to clam up or act differently. But a lot of times then what you want to do is you want to create your own safe space, right? Which is what I think of, and a tree really means family, or it means a home, right? It's a shelter, a sanctuary. So it's almost like you have to go out and steal, because no man can survive completely on their own. No man is an island. But you still need to survive. Like, you need groceries, you need intellectual interaction. But when it comes to it, it's a lot of times it's someone who's really acting like they don't need anyone. And there's usually a sociological, psychological, or emotional reason for that. Maybe they were raised in a harsh environment. Maybe they were treated really poorly or abused for what they believe. So a lot of times it's like, again, it's wanting that independence. And a lot of times it can also mean that, it's just preferring solitude. It's someone who, if you see this next to the hermit, it's someone who's very aloof, someone who really keeps to themselves. And it's also someone who keeps people at arm's length, right? And it's again because they have to feel like they're safe. Again, something about that feeling outnumbered or feeling different, feeling like the like you wouldn't be accepted. But the other thing that it can mean is, and the more lone wolf kind of interpretation, the last meaning of it is that a lot of times it can be someone who refuses to help. Like, for instance, you see this person sneaking away. What if there's a car accident and somebody sees it but doesn't stop? Or, it can be something at work, some kind of big mess occurred and then one person's kind of sneaking away, right? And then, when it comes to situations and people, when it comes to situation and people, the first meaning is feeling cheated on, feeling like someone really snuck out, like someone completely shirked any responsibility. So this can be the sign of a ghoster, somebody with the swords meaning words, it can mean that they walked away, they snuck away in the middle of the night without even an explanation. No splaining happened, right? A lot of times it's, making you feel like with the two swords, it can just feel like somebody, you know, that things just didn't work out the way you expected. That somebody, it usually definitely means someone wasn't there for you, that someone really kind of let you down. A lot of times it can just be really disappointing behavior, like unreliable behavior, somebody who doesn't take responsibility or doesn't want to be found out. It can be somebody who's participating in illegal activities. It can be someone who's acting really shady and they won't explain themselves. Sometimes it can mean somebody who's in a very kind of complex situation and they might need legal or professional advice. Like, again, being in the danger zone, it can definitely, if it comes next to the moon or maybe the nine of cups, 7 of cups, because that being another seven, sometimes it's someone who just doesn't know what they want. But the worst part about the seven coming up with that is that it's completely okay for you to not know what you want, but you have to be communicative about it, right? The 7 of Swords is more like I don't know what I want, but I'm going to pretend to be what you want, and then if it doesn't work out, I'm just going to walk away, which really is some crappy ass behavior. And definitely that's why card readers are hard on this card, because if someone's manifesting in this type of energy, don't be a 7. Don't be a sneaky Pete, right? If you don't know what you want, be honest with the person. The other thing is, and again, with this kind of being the hiding of things, and just to put it out there in a modern context, I do also kind of see this card as the in or out card. And what I mean by that is, if you're a pet owner, whether it be cats or dogs, or if you let an animal out to go and then they go out and then they sit at the door like they want to come back in, and then they want to go back out and then they want to come back in. A lot of times I see this energy, and especially in the reverse, as being somebody who is being two-faced. And but what it is that they, one minute they say, oh, I want to be with you, next minute, oh, I don't know what I want, oh, I want to come in, oh, I want to go out. So a lot of times it's the put your foot down. Sometimes as an advice, it's like, okay, in or out. And you know what? Lock the dog out. If someone's being a dog to you, and not in the loyal sense. And then the other thing is that, again, it's, it is a lot of, with the 2 of Swords kind of being that indecision, and then the 5 of Swords being that win-lose. It can be someone who you do kind of have an on-off kind of thing with, where they come back around and then they disappear, and then they come back around, and then again, it's that in or out. you know? So it's just kind of, it does manifest as being kind of a really not so good energy. But if you do see this next to a page, sometimes it can be one other way to throw it out there, just in case, is that if this does pertain to a couple that is of the same sex, sometimes it can be someone who says that they're gay and then they say, well, I'm bi, well, I'm not, I'm straight. They keep changing orientation as it suits them. But the main undercurrent of all of those meanings is that the person gets what they want. They get what they want, but that what they want was not, it's hidden dishonor. They got it by stealing. They got it by manipulation, right? And being sneaky. But the other thing, the last meaning that we can kind of go with is that you do also want to be careful what you say, because there either might be someone around you that can either take what you say out of context, or they can repeat what you say to other people, and it would kind of out you, right? Especially if you're saying something that's a little bit controversial or something against someone. Last but not least, it can be literal theft. It could be somebody that you either have the potential for someone taking something from you, and it doesn't necessarily have to be material. A lot of times, this, with it being swords, it can be plagiarism. It could be someone stealing your words or stealing your idea. So if you see this next to a Pentacles card, if it's like a work kind of thing, I would definitely, if you're working on something, I would patent it, or at least have some kind of paper trail that it was yours. The other thing is that, it can be someone who's very shifty. Or when I see the swords in particular, I can definitely see it being as someone who's very manipulative with their words. Like, the sense is that, you can try to, this person is very hard to pin down. Like, and again, he's sneaking away with swords. So it's almost like you can say, well, you told me that, I was the only one for you. Well, I never told you we were exclusive. I never used that term. It's them bending their words, right? They know, and the other thing is that they've played this game before. They know the exact words. They're very adept at what they do. So that's also why it's a very sneaky card. It's like, okay, well, I'm used to knowing the right words to say where you can't pin me down. Now, if you do see this next to the Justice card, one other interpretation is that sometimes it can be the fine print of something where someone gets away with something because of something that you signed. And that can be a clause in something. It could be, maybe also if you see this next to Pentacles, maybe you paid for something and it turns out to be one of those subscription scams and you can't get out of it because of something that you signed or some clause that you agreed to, right? And if you see something that is asking you to look at the fine print, so you also want to be very careful with legal agreements at this time, right? Now, and then last but not least, it can be somebody, the other meaning is it can be someone who's running away from home. It can be someone who disagrees with the status quo, or they feel like the only way to be on their own or to have that lone wolf energy, is to get away from whatever circumstance, right? And again, I do entreat you that if you see this around a certain kind of complicated situation, sometimes it can be someone who feels out of their element. That they're not in a safe place, right? They're not in a safe home. They're going to be told what to believe, told what to think, pressured to do things according to what other people want. And that can be illegal too. So it can be someone who's pressured. It can be someone who's in a very dangerous situation. Now, when you look at the 7 in reverse, and we'll go through this real quick, 7 in reverse is actually a pretty positive card. Usually when you see the 7 in reverse, it means the person got caught, right? Or the dishonor is coming to light. There's a great tarot deck called the After Tarot, and it actually shows, it's supposed to be like the tarot, then it shows it in like 3 steps, what happened before and what happened after this scene. And in the After Tarot, you see the person stepping, like he's still tiptoeing, but because he's looking behind him, he's not looking where he's going, and that there's a noose, like one of those traps ahead of him. And so the After Tarot really kind of depicts the reversal very well. It usually means that this person is whatever dishonesty is coming to light. So a lot of times it can mean that someone's apologizing to you for what they did. Sometimes it can be that they feel guilty for what happened. Sometimes if it is a real theft, it can be somebody who you're getting your stuff back. Like maybe the person who got caught, like literally, like the police caught them, and you're getting your stolen goods back. A lot of times it can be somebody who apologizes for something that they said or did. In today's more modern context, it could be that maybe somebody posted something kind of mean on social media, and they actually come forth and apologize and just say, no, I didn't mean to say that, I'm sorry. So a lot of times it can be good advice. Sometimes it can be advice on how to avoid being, defrauded. Sometimes it can be that maybe someone's acting kind of shady, and either that, or maybe if this is around Pentacles, maybe there's some kind of financial deal that you feel a little bit caution about, and then what you do is you either turn down the deal, or you get some additional advice that kind of says, well, yeah, this is a scam, don't sign up for those condo sharing, that they'll rip you off. A lot of times it's somebody who might be admitting why they acted the way they did, like if someone was acting in their best interest. So just like the movie Mona Lisa Smile, he does eventually say, okay, yes, I was hiding, but it's because I had just broken up and I didn't want to face them, and yes, it was cowardly, I'm sorry. One other thing is that in the reverse, it can be someone who's going to the extreme. Like it can almost be this energy that's amped up a little bit, so it can be really bad dishonor, or it can be someone who's just being cowardly. That's the other meaning in the upright and the reverse. It's just someone being a flat out coward. Like they won't even bother to stand and be accountable for the things that they said or the things that they did. Sometimes it can be someone who's really trolling and just doesn't want to get caught. But a lot of times is that it can just mean, and also in the reverse, it can mean that this person's just never honest. It can be someone who is just very chronically deceptive. But in the reverse, and especially with the vice versa, you see a skull there, right? So a lot of times the reversal can mean karma. You see when somebody, I always think of the phrase, live by the sword, die by the sword, and granted, there are times in life where you can sometimes not say what you really think, or, there's situations where you can't say what you really think. But a lot of times when it does come to light, if somebody's playing some kind of games with you, what they'll do is they'll run into, like attracts like, and they'll end up running into someone who plays the game better than they do. And and if you're being a spy, you've watched 007 movies, you're going to run into other spies, right? You're going to run into other people who are in the same profession as you. The other thing is that in the reverse, it can be like really bad dishonor in the sense that someone might be really entrenched in something really illegal. It could be arms dealing, it could be drug dealing. But the other sense that I get is that it's like they're stuck and they can't get out. Right. And a lot of times, sometimes if you've been in an unhealthy environment since the time you were young, maybe it started when you were a teenager, you do see that, right? There are certain kind of illegal activities that, they specialize in getting people in at an early age. But a lot of times in the reversal and the extreme, in the more negative senses, it can be extreme indecision. It can be that extreme in and out. A lot of times when I see the card in reverse, it's funny. My ex-boyfriend, my very first love ever, his family's Greek. and his father he's a very kind man, very kind, but I remember we would be at dinner together, and he was very funny. He was kind, but he was very blunt and almost kind of honest about things. And what he would say is, if you did something stupid, if he felt like you were doing something stupid, he'd call you a dumbass, but he'd do it in that cute Greek accent, and he'd always repeat himself. So he'd always go, dumbass, dumbass. And that's what I kind of think, if you see this with surrounding cards, what I kind of see is, I see someone who got busted for something really stupid. And you see, like, sometimes it makes you feel a little bit better, like I remember I one time watched a video where someone was, and I'm not poking fun at it, because I know desperate times make people desperate, so I don't think that's funny, but it just kind of takes the edge off the scariness of the situation. Is that one person was robbing a bank, and they had their bowling jacket on, and he put his bowling jacket over his head, and his bowling jacket had his embroidered name, and the back of it said the name of his league. So as he's walking out the door, you can see how tall he is, you can see his name, and you're just kind of like, and that's what I kind of think, dumbass, dumbass, and that's what I think of when I see the 7 in reverse. It's like, okay, God, really, you think you're being so slick, and he's just tiptoeing out the door, and you're like, oh, what an idiot. It's kind of a little bit Darwin. But a lot of times it is kind of like that. It's someone being kind of a stupid, it's an inept theft, someone who's not going to get away with it. It's very blatant obvious what you're doing. And the other thing is that if you do see that in a more romantic sense, in the reverse, you can kind of see it as being someone who's clearly trying to be the smooth talker, but is going to fall really flat, right? The person is trying to be all slick, and he's going to get caught very, very easily. But, whether it's in the upright or the reverse, the 7 of Swords, you can tell, is not as cut and dry as you originally imagined, right? It's still a tricky card, and it is about, being deceived. It's about, losing the card game, somebody, rigging the game. But it does have some good purpose to it, and as a caution card, it can tell you a lot. All right, so that concludes the How to Tarot part. Some How to Tarots do run a little bit longer, and and I know for the 7 you wouldn't imagine, but as we saw, it has quite a bit of meaning. But we got 3 decks here, and so the first deck is always the Rider-Waite-Smith, and with it we have a beautiful Sunstone. Second deck is the Vice Versa Tarot, and with it we have a beautiful Dalmatian Jasper. The last deck is the Starseeker Tarot by the Van Mystic, and I've got the very first stone I've ever bought, which is a amethyst quartz. And to clarify, we are going to be using the Intuit Oracle Trio by Kimberley Fisher. If you need more time, please pause the video. If you like the art, if you like the timestamp, whatever you are gravitating towards. And again, if you need more time, please pause, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're back. So let's go ahead and see, how does the 7 of Swords manifest in your life? First deck is the Rider-Waite-Smith, and with it, it's again, the Rider-Waite-Smith is the traditional tarot. It's like the main tarot that most readers go with, and the depiction is just so amazing. Again, when you look at the imagery. So we're going to go ahead and just give this a quick shuffle. And let's go ahead and see. So first deck, Rider-Waite-Smith. How does the 7 of Swords manifest in your life currently? Okay, current energy. Oh, wow, guys. And future. Wow. Oh, my gosh. Oh, gosh, guys. I'm also seeing the 2 of Cups and the Fool. So... all right. See, again, the seven of Swords doesn't necessarily have to be a bad energy. Sometimes it is, just like we said, it can be you feeling like you need to separate or get away from something, So let's go ahead and get your Oracle card. Please clarify. What's the energy here? Wow. That is, wow, that's amazing. These cards, the Intuit Oracle, are kind of based on Lenormand. There are additional cards other than just the regular Lenormand meaning. And when we get into it, you got duplicates here. You got the Ace of Hearts, which is like the Ace of Cups. So I'm seeing a lot of synchronicity here, guys. I'm seeing a lot of synchronicity. So, wow, that's amazing. What I am seeing here is, quite honestly, is that in your past energy, you've got the Four of Wands. So that's very much a graduation card. It can definitely speak of marriage. It can speak of home ownership, or it can also mean that you might have had some kind of promotion or some kind of graduation, and you feel like that was a celebration. Like you really, you concluded something in your life. Like you kind of earned something. But what we've got here is so that's the energy of the past. The energy of the past is that you might have really, it's interesting because we've got wands and we've got cups, and then you got swords. You got swords here. And what I'm kind of seeing is I see him sneaking away towards the Four of Wands. We've got, so it's interesting. We've got a lot of spirit. We've got a lot of action here, and we've got a lot of love. But what I'm kind of sensing here is, and again, this being someone who's sneaking away, someone who can't, and again, we even said it, it's someone who cannot reveal what they really think or feel. I kind of read this one of two ways, because these are the wands and it's a little bit of a sandwich. I could read it that one way that I read it is that in the past there may have been some kind of promotion or some kind of, again, this is a celebration of a milestone. That can be a promotion, it can be graduating college, it can be getting a house. But the other thing is that it can be marriage, or, like a commitment to like a home. But what the way I'm kind of seeing it, and I'll read it both ways, is that one way I read it is that you might have gotten some kind of position, and it's like, okay, yay, this is what I want to do, right? So that's you, the position or that graduation, that celebration can be and you see like the towers, like the background of this card has the castle, right? And what are the tents? The tents are the tents are the same people who are in the castle, right? They work for the king, right? So what I'm kind of seeing here is that you might have agreed. And you might have wholeheartedly agreed. Again, you're going along. You're going along. You're showing the people at the castle that you're all on board, right? So one way I kind of read it is you might have accepted some kind of job or some kind of position. Either that, or you got married, or you committed yourself to someone or some kind of goal. And what's happening is that you were like on board, and you say, okay, yeah, this is what I want. I want to do this. I want this career path. I want this marriage. I want this commitment, and I'm all on board. I'm all in, right? And that's the past energy. That's your past. Your present energy is cups, and it's cups related. And what you have is you have the Ace of Cups and you have the Nine of Cups. So what's happening is you agreed to this wands thing, right? The other thing that I'm kind of seeing here is I'm seeing wands, and then we've got water in play. Okay, so, and you're going to see water and wands in the future position. But what I'm seeing here is you said, yes, I'm all on board. This is what I want. This is what I want. And now when you look at it, the present energy, there's something new that has stirred your emotions. Something else has caught the attention of your heart. And hearts are very emotional, right? Of course, hearts are emotional. Sorry, that sounded silly the way I said it. But you know what it is that I'm seeing a lot of impulsive energy here. This whole combination talks about someone who, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but and that's part of life, right? We talked about the seven being kind of like the in or out. There was something in the past that you said, I'm all in. now something has come along that feels like an opportunity, right? And the one thing that I'm kind of getting from this is that this is an Ace of Cups and he has 9 cups behind him. So 9 plus 1 would be 10, right? And what I'm seeing here is that I'm seeing that this might be a thing where I feel like you're a real passionate person. I think you're passionate about life, and that's a good thing, right? You know, we only get what 50, 60 years on this rock on average. You know, longer if we're lucky. And you really do want to have the best that everything has to offer, right? But I do think that that sometimes means that you start committing yourself to certain goals, and then as you're going down the path of that goal, something else comes along, and you're like, whoa, look at that. The other thing is that the Ace of Cups, again, it's that glowing hand coming out of a cloud. You know, it's like, it's like, wow, that's and it's new, right? It's a new outpouring of emotion that's making you feel like it's a gift, like it's a present from the universe, right? But the thing that I'm seeing here is with the 9 cups, I do get the sense that you've had some really good opportunities in your life, but I am kind of getting the sense like you might not follow through with every single one of them. Either that, or when it comes to the wands and the cups, the one thing about that is that you might have fire and water in your chart. And what that does is that it does kind of make it difficult for you to follow through on things, and not in a bad way. Believe me, I've got a lot of cardinal. I've got a lot of and that's like Capricorn, Cancer, Libra, Aries, and we're good at starting things. Like we're the ideas people, right? And that's an ace, and an ace is an idea. It's that wonderful new beginning to something. It's the spark of something new. And I do the exact same thing. I get all excited, like, oh, look at that new thing. Look, there's a squirrel, and you go after it, right? But then you get a few steps down that path, and you start realizing, okay, well, I can't do this forever. This was a good idea in the beginning, but I'm not really feeling it right now. And look, there's this other thing that is what I want, right? Let me go do that now. But the problem is that I think what's happening here, especially with the thoughts, is that I'm getting a strong sense that you didn't realize that this other commitment was going to last this long. Either that, or you really did think that you were going to see it through, but something didn't work out, right? Like, again, that pressure. Maybe when this endeavor first started, you were all in because it looked like what you wanted, but then later you had to sneak away, or there was something about the situation that you felt contrary to. But I'm definitely seeing that current energy, the reason that you want to sneak away from this current and this previous situation or this previous commitment is because there's something really emotionally stirring you. And it feels like, the other thing is, it feels like what you want. It feels like a present. It feels like a gift from the universe. And it's really, you're feeling it at a soul level, like you're feeling it at a cups level. But the one caution that I do want to give you is that the Ace of Cups is a wonderful energy, but the Nine of Cups is a little bit of a smug energy. Again, these cups look like trophies, right? These look like trophies. It looks like this guy has chased a new cup 9 times, right? And he's acquired all of those cups, and that's why he has a table of them behind him. So the one thing that it's kind of cautioning you, because again, this guy is doing something that's a little bit, it's hidden, right? I think currently you want to walk away from a previous commitment. And it's almost like you're doing it a little bit clandestinely, like you don't want to really come out and say, well, I don't want to do this anymore, because you don't want to out yourself. You don't want to say, well, yeah, I committed to this, but I've changed my mind. But the reason that you want to walk away is because there's something else, and this could be a love relationship. This could be a love relationship. And quite honestly, with the Four of Wands, this is a marriage card. So one thing that this could be The other way that we can kind of read it, because one thing would be commitment through work, but we're not really seeing any pentacles here, so that's probably not it. This could be a commitment of a relationship or a commitment of a marriage. So this could either be you, or this could be the person that you're engaged with. Like, this person might be married, but they have this wonderful connection, and they feel it. If you feel, they feel like you feel like they're the one, right? You feel like this is, you're the luckiest man and luckiest person by meeting this person. And again, the 9 plus 1 is 10. That's 10 of cups. It's almost like you're one cup away from that happiness that money can't buy. If this is you, you feel like, okay, in order to have the happiness that money can't buy, I have to move away from this situation. But we also said that this situation's the hotbed, though. It's the danger zone, right? You're really close to this situation. So one way that it can be, and again, in your favor, it could be that maybe you got kind of tied into some kind of relationship or some kind of commitment. And I am getting the sense it might be romantic. It could be a marriage or a long-term commitment with someone, and you feel like you can't get out. But you definitely have a new opportunity for love, and you really want it. You really, really want it. But it's almost like you feel like you have to sneak away to get it. Either that, or the person that you're looking at, this person that's going to give you this cup, they have to sneak away from something. One third way is that, this is a twin flame card, so quite possibly you might have met someone that you have a really great connection with. You feel like they're the Ace of Cups, you feel like they're the bee's knees, they're it.com. But the problem is they're acting shady. They're acting real sneaky. They might be hiding you, or they might be acting a little wishy-washy. One other thing that it could be is that this, again, with this being the lone wolf kind of energy, someone who's really kind of aloof, um, and not to villainize anyone, there's a lot of positive energy here. One last interpretation is maybe this person is not in another commitment, but they are just acting, they don't want to give up their independence, right? And that might be making them act really strange. That's completely possible. Because again, I am seeing these cups as being kind of like, I am kind of seeing as previous conquests. So this person might have kind of an extensive dating history. And again, what they might need to do is they might need to tread carefully. They might have to tread carefully because either an ex or ex-spouse, either that, or this person really, you see them as a good person, but they have psychological or a mental kind of threshold that they have to get over to be with you. Because this is twin flame, and this is an Ace of Cups, and this is like your wish fulfillment. But they're acting, they're kind of tiptoeing around it. They're cautious. They don't want to, I think one other thing that this can kind of mean is that if this person if the person you're dealing with, or it could be you, this could be your energy, if you had relationships that made you feel trapped, if you had relationships that kind of imposed certain rules on you, like again, this could be a family card too, but a lot of times, you'll see this as someone who maybe was divorced in the past, and they have a wonderful connection with you, but they're afraid of going down the same path. So they're sticking, they're staying more aloof. They want to tread carefully. They're kind of stepping away from the idea of getting married or committed because been there, done that, didn't end well. Either that, or they might have some psychological scars from either their childhood or other experiences where they feel like, okay, the moment I get married, everything's gonna change, and they're gonna try to tell me what to do, and I don't want that, right? I don't need that in my life. I'm okay on my own, right? I'm okay on my own. Now, the future is quite interesting here, guys, because you got the Three of Wands. So if you're dealing with the Seven of Swords, I think you're going to be waiting. You're going to be waiting for your ships to come in, right? You're going to be waiting. And the thing of the caution of this, though, because this is a cautionary card, you might not want to wait for this person. And I'm not trying to say, all of this is really strong energy. I do think this is a soulmate kind of person. But the other thing about the Seven of Swords is that they might not be, they're probably not, the phrase too good to be true is kind of popping up a little bit. And it's not to say that this person isn't an honest, isn't what, there might be more underneath the surface than what they're showing you. And there might be reasons why they're acting the way that they are. And they might have to tread carefully with either a family situation or a previous relationship. One other thing that I kind of see with this too, and when we get into the oracle cards, we'll talk about that. Sometimes this can be a sign that this person's entrenched in something that they want to keep you separate from. They might love you, they might really want to be with you, but they have reasons for that. Because again, like the double agent kind of meaning, they can't be outed. They can't be outed. Outing, them saying what they really think might have some very dire consequences. So in the future, it's almost like I do see you kind of waiting for this person, but the card is kind of going backwards, right? It goes from the Four of Wands to the Three of Wands. It's almost like it's degrading a little bit. And that's where I do want you to be, because it's also Four Wands, Three Wands, which is seven, which is the Seven of Swords. I would be a little bit careful with this. Also, if this person is kind of concealing, if they are hiding who they really are, because that's the other thing, is that they might be hiding their true intentions. At some point, they really need to tell you what's going on. But the other way I read it is, if this is your energy, is that you might have committed yourself to something in the past, and then there is a present love opportunity that you really, really want, but it's almost like you have to be sneaky in order to get it. You have to sneak around in order to get what you want. And in the future, you're waiting for this to resolve itself. Now, the two oracle cards you got is really quite interesting, guys, is because you got mice and you got man. And wow, guys, this, you know what? In Lenormand, mice and man is the Seven of Swords. This combination, because Lenormand cards are read in pairs, in threes and twos. But mice is, it's stress, worry, anxiety, loss, theft, decay. And with it, the man is either you or a person you know, a love interest, a fiance, a spouse. So I hate to say it this way, guys, but I'm not seeing bad cards in relation to you. But I do see, again, loss and theft. You might be dealing with someone who's not being completely transparent with you. There might be something underneath the surface. And if this is your energy, if in male or female, you might be worried, because mice are the ones who get in your cabinet and they steal, they sneak away. And again, sneaking, there's a strong theme here. Sneak away with your food little by little, little by little. And so if you're a woman watching this, or gender doesn't matter, you might be dealing with someone who you think is your divine counterpart. You might think they are everything, but what they're doing is this relationship might be kind of slowly deteriorating because this person is not being honest. Otherwise, if you are this person, what might be happening is that this person might be really worried because of some kind of previous situation, and it's causing them to not be completely honest with you. And the future energy is not bad, but it is kind of a limbo energy. It's like keeping you, again, it's the in or out. This person's not making a decision. And the one thing that I do kind of read is that if you are a woman watching this and you're dealing with a man in this energy, it's not your job to wait around while he gets his shit together. Pardon my French, but somebody who doesn't know what they want or is tied up. The other thing is that this is something they're very well versed at. This is not their first rodeo. They know how to talk to people. The other thing is that, sneaking away, I understand if the situation is really kind of heated, but if you are important to this person, they'll be honest with you. And when it boils down to it, it's your choice whether or not you want to deal with the crap that they created, right? But it is a little bit with the fatigue and the worry and the stress. One reason that this person might be lying is because they really don't want to lose you. And I will give them that prompt, because this is somebody that you love and they are under a lot of stress and worry. And again, maybe they got tied into something. They might have been really tied up in something. They might have a previous obligation. And one other meaning that I mentioned before, especially after we've talked about, the mice and the worry, this person might have a crazy ex. That happens. Like sometimes somebody acts a little shady. Like again, we mentioned it in the Mona Lisa Smile movie. Someone might be acting a little out of sorts because they want to keep you out of their drama. But the other thing that I'm definitely getting though is that if they want to be above board with it, they should really tell you what's going on and let it be your choice whether or not you want to participate in that. That choice should not be made for you. The other thing is that they should not be wishy-washy with you or being like, because this waiting card doesn't really sit well with me. There's a lot of yellow in this, which is usually very sunny. But, waiting around while somebody kind of acts, um, under the table is not good for you. But I definitely see, what I'm seeing is that, yes, I'm definitely seeing that this person might have a reason for it. They might have to, they for some reason they can't come out and say, they can't reveal themselves because it would out them, or it might cause drama with some kind of previous commitment. But what they are is they are kind of keeping you on the side. They're very worried about it. They're very scared. And I think they're either scared from negative repercussions from this commitment, or the negative repercussion is that if they come out and tell you the things that they've done, that you might leave them. So I think they're almost waiting. Like they were waiting to either get some distance or to get further away from whatever it is they're sneaking away from, or they could be waiting to hear from you. But either way, it's causing them a lot of anxiety, and there's a lot of fear here. But either way, I would, if this is not advice, but again, anytime you see the Seven of Swords, it's definitely a cautionary card, and it's up to you whether or not you wait, right? And if there's a way to get this person to be above board with you, that would be the best course of action, right? Right? Because even if you feel this great love for someone, all these cups, have occurred in the past, and when you've got the Four of Wands in the past, there was something serious that occurred, right? And but yeah, guys, so that's your read. That's really interesting energy. It's not bad. Again, you see what a complex card the Seven is. It's never a straight one answer. All right, so deck number 2, the Vice Versa Tarot, and with the Dalmatian Jasper. So let's go ahead and see. I'm just going to give it a quick shuffle. Sorry, this gets a little loud. One more. Okay, so let's see here. Deck number 2, and I like this depiction. How does the Seven of Swords manifest in your life? Deck number 2. How does the Seven... Okay. Current energy. Please clarify the Chariot. Oh my God. Please clarify the Chariot. Future energy. Oh, we just had a tarot on this last week with this card. That's awesome. Got the Wheel of Fortune on top. That's kind of predictive. And you have one major arcana. All right, what's our oracle card? So deck number 2. Whoa, okay. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm getting a lot of love from these readings already. Not a bad thing, but I don't like, oh. You try not to see the Seven of Swords when you're talking love, because that's not really, but he tends to pop up in that context, for sure, for sure. All right. So, wow, guys. Wow. I'm definitely getting some interesting energy here. Getting some interesting energy. In your past position, you got the knight. The Knight of Swords, and this is really interesting. I am definitely. I am getting. We've got some pentacles in play here. I do kind of read this one of a few ways. So the first thing that I can kind of see here is that the 7 is, this guy's on foot, right? And one thing that you notice is that, and again, we take the imagery into account, is that this is the card that has the 2 soldiers outside that's guarding the door, right? The Rider-Waite-Smith you don't see soldiers, right? And you see this person sneaking off in the night, and the guards are right there, right? And the guards almost look like the same armor as the Knight of Swords, right? So, you know what I'm kind of getting? Yeah, I can read this one of 2 ways, and I'll go ahead. And I'm sorry to give multiple interpretations, but sometimes when you have a lot of people watching, you can get into that range. So we'll go ahead and read both ways. But first thing that I'm getting is that if I get the sense that if this is the person that you're dealing with, like if you're dealing with a 7 of Swords person, what might have happened in the past is you might have really given this person a verbal what for. Like this person might have been acting shady with you in the past, and you called their ass out. Pardon my French. I'm cursing a little bit in this video, but it's the 7 of Swords. You can't not. But you know, like I said in the introduction, you know, like my like my ex's father, he was Greek, and he would say dumbass, you know, that's kind of what I get, you know, like don't be a dumbass. But what I'm seeing here is that this person, there might have been someone who was trying to kind of get away with something. Someone was acting a little shady with you. And I do get the strong sense, I'm getting a strong sense that you're the Queen of Pentacles energy. And again, there's 2 ways I can read this, but you're the Queen of Pentacles energy. And what I'm getting is that you know your value. And as much as you do not want to, you know, I think that you would give someone the benefit of the doubt. But this person was acting, I have a feeling this person was acting shady a lot. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic context. I am kind of getting that, but somebody was really not being on the level with you, and you weren't liking it. It didn't feel comfortable to you. And so what you did is you kind of called them out. And the Knight of Swords is not the queen or the king. He knows, the Knight of Swords is really sharp-tongued. Like, they'll be like, one, you know, why are you doing this? A, B, C, D, E, F, right? I do kind of see it as, I see the Knight in this context as a little bit of that sassy mom card. You know, when someone's trying to tell you a bald-faced lie, and you're kind of like, who do you think that you were kidding? You know? Because what I see is, I see this person trying to get away from the guards, right? He's trying to sneak away from the guards. Like, he's trying not to let the guards see what he's doing. And the guards, because the guards would come after him like this, right? With a sword, right? They'd be like, you know, and they'd probably, you know, catch him real quick because he's on foot, and, you know, the knight is on horseback. So the first way that I see this is, I think you were dealing with somebody who was in a little bit of, somebody who was being deceptive with you. They were not telling you the whole truth, or they were tiptoeing around the truth. And it's not to say that someone would flat out lie, but I do think that, you know, there's folks, and again, we talked about this in the how-to part, the 7 of Swords knows how to use the right terminology. And what I'm getting is you called their ass out on that. Like, it was somebody who was just like, well, hey, you know, come hang out with me, but you're, you know, but somehow they used the right words to get what they wanted. But when you try to call them out on it, they're like, well, I didn't say that. I said it this way. That's not what I meant. And you weren't having it. You were like, you can take your BS. You can take your select words and you can shove it. And I think that's what's happening is this person is being extra cautious around you, extra kind of sneaky around you, because they know that you can call them out. One other way that I kind of read it too is with the Queen of Pentacles being in play here, it isn't that the Queen of Pentacles has more value than the Seven of Swords, but what it is that the Queen of Pentacles is very clear in her worth, right? She sits on her throne. She knows who she is, and she's very upfront about it, right? And when I see that this one she's wearing those antlers, and I think of someone who's being very forthright, someone who's very, the other thing is someone who's very honest. What I'm kind of seeing here is that this could have been potentially someone who wanted to keep your relationship on the down low. Someone who did want to keep you kind of on the side, but in order to do it, they couldn't be. It's almost, I almost see the Queen as being kind of that it girl. This person knows your value. They know how valuable you are, and they want to be with you. But the problem is that they have to be sneaky about it. Like, they can't come out and say we're together, or they can't, they can't come out and say what they really feel or think. And what they realize is that in the past, in your conversations with this person, you've called them out on that. You've said, look, if you want to do this, we need to be above board, because I'm not a pay someone under the table kind of person, right? If you want a relationship with me, you have to come out and say that that's what you want. You can't be talking to other people on the side. You can't. I'm getting a real strong sense that you know what you deserve. And this person was kind of, now like, well, here, come be with me, or come do this for me. And you're like, no, why are you doing that? And what they do now is that in the past, you've proven to this person that you can call their butt out. So what they do is they're extra sneaky. They don't, instead of trying to play the game with you, I do get a strong sense like they tried to play the game with you, and they weren't getting anywhere. And I do think that that game was kind of verbal. Maybe they were kind of approaching you and like with text messages or something. This could be a little bit of someone, again, if this is heart related, because there's water here, and when we get to, yeah, the reason I think that's more relationship is because of your oracle cards. But basically, someone saw your value. They might have wanted to, they probably weren't making you a priority. They might have a reason for that. Again, maybe they wanted to keep their options open, or they wanted to stay the lone wolf. But you weren't having that in the past. And I think you probably really verbally exposed them. I really think that they felt exposed. Like, this is someone who does not like having their dirty laundry aired. And I don't think that you exposed them publicly, but I do get the sense that some kind of conversation, you told them what for. Like, you were like, when they were trying to sneak around, when they were trying to mince words. The other thing is you get a little bit of gaslighting from this, and I think you weren't having it. You were like, hell to the no. No, don't play that. You want to sneak off, you do that on your time. You don't do that with me. Right? And so what happens is the person gets extra shady. It's almost like they avoid you completely. And it isn't, and what I'm getting is that the present energy, you got the Chariot, and underneath it, you got the Queen of Pentacles, and you got the Two of Wands. So, wow, guys, you know what? I am almost, and this is yet another person in armor. This is another person in armor. And the future energy, you got the Six of Swords, which is moving away from troubled times, right? And we just had a tarot on this card. So I'm going to read this two ways, and we're going to vindicate your person. They're not completely bad, but they're not being honest either. So in the past, there might have been someone who was acting shady. They might have had legitimate reasons why they had to be that way, but you weren't having it, and anytime they'd try to pull that stuff, you'd call them out. So, and then the present energy, what I see is, I kind of read this one of two ways. Definitely you called them out in the past. They probably felt like you were I think that they felt like you were tearing them apart verbally. But it's also because they're more on the secretive side. right? They're sensitive about their secrets. And again, I don't think that you publicly, because you're coming up as the Queen of Pentacles, I think you would have more class than that. Like you wouldn't rip somebody out in front of their friends or in front of their family or, you know, on social media. But I do think in private conversations, you were like, why are you acting like that? So what they did is they went even further undercover. Now, one thing with this being more swords, because there's a lot of swords, we got swords in the past, swords in the future, and the seven being the pitch to this roof, is that they might have even gone so far as to kind of hide their profile on social media. I do get a sense of a little bit of fear because I think they know that you're an honest person because that's how you conduct yourself. And I think that they were afraid that your honesty was going to expose them. So what I kind of see is the current energy is I think that what's happening is they are entrenched in some kind of situation that they can't be outed right now. They are acting sneaky. There's a reason for it. And your blunt honesty would really, really expose them in a bad way, right? It would expose them in a bad way. But what I see is that they're moving away from whatever situation's making them act all clandestine. They're trying to get away. And again, just like we said in the other one, this could be a crazy ex situation. Like for instance, maybe this person started talking to you, but you wanted transparency. You wanted to, go on social media and say, okay, hey, we're talking, we're dating, but he couldn't have that. And if you pushed for that, then it would expose him. But what I see is that the chariot is very fast movement. And what you see is the chariot is two opposing forces, right? Dark and light. And I think that's what this person is they're trying to get their stuff together. I think they're trying to get away from whatever bad situation was making them be dishonest. Either that or they're trying to, if this is how they've acted in the past, they're trying to get over that. And they're trying to get over it fast. It's almost like they're trying to exercise their demons. If this is some kind of ingrained behavior, because the other thing is this is a younger looking person, the other thing that I kind of get from this is that, sometimes when you're a younger person, man or woman, sometimes you have to, you get into your crappy relationship patterns, and it's almost like you kind of work it out of your system. And I even said it, like attracts like. If you stopped dealing with this person because they were acting deceptive or manipulative, that person's just going to move on and find, a new relationship where the other person plays the game better than they do. And that teaches you quick. Right? But here I am getting a little bit more of a positive. I think they were evading you because you're good at, you live on the level and you won't be gaslighted. But it's almost like they're trying to be a better person, and they're trying to be a better person fast, right? Like they're trying to work through their crap. They're trying to face their demons. If this is some kind of psychological thing from childhood or from their emotional patterns, they're trying to fix them. And they're making progress, and they're making fast progress too. And what I see here is I see the root of it is you've got the Two of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles. So, and again, I'm kind of getting two things from this. The Queen of Pentacles could be you, and the Two of Wands, remember, he's looking at the sun, right? He's got one rod there and another rod on the wall, and he's looking ahead, right? And isn't this crazy? The two hats, the Rider-Waite Smith and the hat on this dude looks very, very similar. So what I kind of get from this is that this person, you might have really outed this person in the past, so they had to alienate themselves from you. They had to separate, and they had to go undercover, so to speak. And so what I kind of see with that is that I see that you are the root of their change. But it's almost like they kind of went into a shell. This person probably dropped off of social media, either that or they blocked you on social media where you can't see what they're doing, or they've just been really kind of in hiding, right? Because they don't want you judging what they're doing. They don't want you judging what they're doing. And it seems like they have two goals going on here. Because there are two wands, what could be happening is they might have some kind of obligation that they have to complete first, but they are really looking forward to you. And it's making them want to go fast, right? It's making them want to, again, get away from whatever they have to complete. And this job they're doing be a little bit might be a little bit shady. I mean, they might have to do something. Now, I don't think it's anything illegal, but I do think that it's something that you can't know about for whatever reason. And they're trying to complete this project because they have their eye on the other rod, right? And the other thing is, it's almost like they're looking at the sun, and it looks like the pentacle, right? So if this is you, if you're the Queen of Pentacles, and it can be man or woman, you can be a man in the Queen's energy. But I think in the past, you really called this person out, either that or, this person really has a lot that they have to tell you, but they have to keep it quiet for right now. But being with you is fueling them. Like, they're really looking forward to this new project with you, but they have to deal with whatever they're dealing with first, and they're trying to get through it as fast as possible. The other thing that I kind of see is you see stars in the background, and you see the Big Dipper. And the Big Dipper is in the position, this card is ruled by the sun sign of Cancer, and actually I think the Dipper is in that position, the position you see in the card, in the summertime. So this could have started in the summertime, and honestly, Seven Swords is like, and this is the seventh card too, which would be the 7th month of July. Maybe this has been going on since July, or that maybe this will be continuing in July or conclude at that time. But it's almost like they're trying to get past this crappy behavior. I do get a strong sense that it's them kind of wrestling their demons, though. I do think that they've kind of been in this behavior for a long time, and they haven't really met someone who can keep them in check, right? And that's not a bad thing. That's not saying that, this isn't like a hen pecking someone, but you do need someone who calls you on your bad habits, right? And the Seven of Swords is not good. It's not how you really want to be living your life. One other way that I can read it is that it's possible that this person, in the past, they really wanted to come forward and tell you what was going on, but they might have some kind of obligation to a Queen of Pentacles. And they're moving forward with this energy, but right now they have to keep it on the down low. This could be someone that they owe money. It could be a mother or a sibling who's an earth sign. But it's almost like, and again, because I see the rod next to the queen, but he's looking away from it, and he's looking towards the future. And you've got the Chariot. So what it could be is it could be some kind of financial obligation to someone. And he or she, they might not want to admit it because it would be kind of embarrassing, right? Maybe they owe someone money. Maybe something happened. Like, you might see it, maybe they totaled their car and their insurance dropped them, and then somebody bailed them out, and they don't want to tell someone that, right? But it makes them look real shady, though, because it's like, okay, but basically there's some kind of affiliation to a Queen of Pentacles that needs to be completed first. It's going fast, but it's something about the details of this cannot come to light. And it looks like you would have realized it. The other thing that I kind of get is that maybe in the past this person really was an open book, but something about this current situation is getting them to clam up hard, and it's getting them to have to sneak around and do things. The only other thing that I can think of is that maybe this could involve secrets that are not theirs to tell, right? Maybe they're helping someone out. And it could involve a car. The other thing is that it could involve a car. Again, it could be something that they're not proud of. And, the other thing is that maybe it would impact them in a bad way, if it were to be known. And, it can't be known until it's over. is kind of the vibe I'm getting. But it's close. This person's really trying to take charge. But the other thing that I get is that there is a lot of this is hidden. It's things are progressing quickly underneath the surface. But one other way that I kind of read this too is that maybe someone was acting sneaky with you and you really called them out on it, and then this person kind of went off the grid. Maybe you blocked each other or you don't see what's going on with each other, but you're making strides to move ahead quickly. You're moving ahead quickly, and this person also, sometimes it can be an echo of the Page of Swords, where this person might be figuring out what you're doing through social media, even though they're not your friend. But they see you moving forward, and they really idolize you, because the Queen of Pentacles is a woman of value. But the future, we got the beautiful Six of Swords. We got the Six of Swords. And we just had a tarot on this last week. And the reverse, you see that beautiful her in the boat. So quite honestly, the two ways I can read it is, it's quite possible that this person might be getting their stuff together, where in the future, you can move ahead together, because there are two people in the boat. Maybe you can move ahead together with a new cup of love once all of this is in the past. And again, it could be this person moving away from adversity, moving away from this clandestine behavior. Maybe there's some kind of debt that they had to pay off, or some kind of project that they had to complete that involved a person. I am seeing kind of finances involved, so again, it might involve money. But this person's working, they're going to battle, and they're controlling. The other thing is, this is hard control too. So this person is, they're putting a lot of energy into remaining hidden. They're putting a lot of energy into moving forward fast, right? It's a lot of, but it's behind the scenes. There's a lot of behind the scenes going on here. And then I almost get the feeling like once it's done, once they've completed what they needed to, and they're close to doing that, once everything's paid off or done, then they can get in the boat and move towards calmer waters with you. So this could be a future energy where, there's some situation, there's something going on that this person cannot explain, and they have to keep quiet. But eventually they will come out and tell you the truth. But then I also get the sense that this is kind of a big deal, because this is a major arcana and this is a high energy. But it's almost like they'll come out and tell you the truth. One last way is that possibly in the past they told you what was going on, and just their present actions, they have to be a little deceptive. The other thing is that they could be deceiving someone else. This can be someone who's sneaking away from the Queen of Pentacles, because again, he's looking away. He's looking at, and he wants to move ahead quickly with this other project. But he has to, there is some sneaky energy. There's someone who's not seeing what's happening here. But in the future, I think it will be revealed. Either that, or, whatever's going to happen, the things will come to light eventually, and it's going to be like that slow and steady drift towards better things. So it could potentially be that somebody is moving on from you or moving towards you. I get a sense that they're moving towards you. And in the future, you'll know what all this is about, but it's going to be slow healing, and it's going to be a little bit, again, both of these are very quiet kind of cards, it's under the radar. And I think in the future, you might be able to either move on by yourself, if you are the Queen of Pentacles and somebody's, because this could be your energy of moving forward. You might get some slow healing. But either way, I'm sorry, there's several scenarios here, but either way, I see that you will figure out what's going on. Whether or not you see it, it will come to light. And this is a very peaceful card. It's a little bit of a neutral card. You don't feel anything, like there's no pain here. but you're either going to be moving on alone, or this person is going to reveal what's been going on, and you'll be moving on together. And it'll just be slow and steady kind of healing, because the other thing is healing. Now, the thing that I kind of see here is the reason I think that it might be you and another person is the two cards you got is you got Celtic Knot for unconditional love, and you got Fireworks, which is chemistry, lust, kissing, exhilaration, you know, explosive, hot sex. But what I'm kind of seeing here is I definitely get the sense like you have some kind of chemistry with somebody, and unconditional love is like a divine union. And when you see the two sphinx, that's like the light and the dark, it's like the yin and the yang. I do get the sense, and fireworks being like the 4th of July, and this all this Cancer and 7, and there's a lot of sixes in this, and there's a 6 of Swords. It's almost like the sixes are going together and the sevens are going together. I do kind of get the sense like this might be over the course of the next year. I think this activity was occurring over the summer, like July, and I think maybe by June or next year, things might be getting better. But I do get the sense that if this is somebody who's been deceptive to you, and you end up moving on alone, you're going to have a whole new understanding of the chemistry because you're very attracted to this person. It's almost like you're magnetized to them. And so you're going to have a new understanding of your chemistry, and it's almost like we talked about in the 6 of Swords how to tarot about how there's highs and lows. You're going to avoid the highs and lows in the future. You're going to avoid deception, and you're going to give this person unconditional love. You know, forgiveness kind of releases two people. So if you do have to move on from someone because of their behavior, because they were involved with someone else and they weren't telling you, you'll move forward, and you're gonna learn from the experience. You'll give unconditional love, but there'll be no turning back, right? You're not going to get back into the ups and downs of this. Now, the other scenario is if this was somebody who had to handle business with somebody else. That truth will be revealed to you, and you will be able to move on together. And it's almost like the same kind of applies. It's like unconditional love. You'll be moving forward together, and there is a chemistry. Like you feel like you cannot be apart from this person, right? And this person feels like they can't be apart from you. And they will move forward with you. And it looks like this person's trying to, like, I really get the sense that they're on all four thrusters trying to get to you, right? They're working hard, and they're trying to rush to get to you because they don't want to lose you. But there is definitely some things that are hidden from you that you need to know. And then it's almost like the other thing is that both of these characters look like they're wearing hoods. So it could quite possibly be that once this person handles the business they have to handle, they will gravitate back to you and things will be well. And then they can slow down and just get in the boat with you. And then your relationship with them can have a slow and steady new start. But wow, guys, that was really deep. This is really interesting because there's a lot of different ways that you can read this energy. All right, last but not least, we've got the Amethyst Quartz and the Starseeker Tarot by the Van Mystic. And again, this one is a really beautiful interpretation because this is more of I really read that as more of the energy of not being able to say what you really believe. You know, you kind of being you being surrounded by, you needing to hide what you really think and feel. So it's a little bit of a less dastardly kind of interpretation of the 7. So 7 of Swords, what's our past energy? Ooh, wow. Current energy, please. You see that? I'm going to go with it. Oh, wow, guys. Future energy. Oh my gosh, guys. This is really quite gorgeous. And you got the world popping out. This is a nice interpretation, guys. I like this. I like it. All right, let's go ahead and get your oracles. So for my deck number 3. Wow. Oh, how cool. How neat. Oh, wow. This is a real positive one, guys. I like it. I like it. All right. So the last one, I am so getting a vibe. First off, there's a lot of purple. There's purple everywhere. And again, when you look at this doesn't look like this is someone who's trying to get away with something. It almost looks like someone is trying to find shelter, right? They're trying to take swords, the swords that they believe are theirs, and trying to protect them, right? And it looks like you're hiding. So, and you got a major here, and underneath your 7, you got another 7. You got the 7 of Cups. So I'll flat out say it, guys. And honestly, this stone is the first stone I ever bought while I was learning tarot. It's a little bit older. And look at that, guys. Oh, I like it. Look at the stone in the High Priestess. It looks like the same stone. That is so cool. Synchronicity alert. I think, guys, I do think I get the sense that I'm getting a little bit more of a lone wolf kind of vibe from this deck. I think in the past, I get a sense like maybe you felt like an outsider. In the past, you felt like an outsider because of your personality. Um, the High Priestess is very spiritual, and she's spiritual in a very avant-garde way. Like, she's not religious. She can be religious, but she guards the veil between the known and the unknown, right? And what I get is that I get a sense that you feel like you're weird. You feel like you're not accepted by society because you see things on a level. You see things that people do not see, right? You're a priestess, you're a high priestess. And to come out and say it, just to flat out say it, it could be that you are new age and a lot of people around you are not. And it's not to down anyone. It's one of those things. Maybe you were raised in a conflicting environment. Maybe this could be where if you're of a Christian faith and you are religious, but maybe you believe in one certain version of Christianity and your family believes something else. But I'm definitely getting more of a spiritual vibe. Maybe you study tarot and you have folks who frown upon that. Maybe, and it doesn't even have to be the contrast to that. It's funny, my family, they're not, they don't come out and say, okay, they accept the fact that I do what I do, right? I do what I do. I love what I do. I read cards, I scrapbook, I journal, I photograph. That's me, right? But what I do kind of see is that from a young age and as you grew up, you knew that you were different and you saw things that other people do not. Like there's like magic coming out of her hands, right? So I think that this is definitely more of a lone wolf energy, and it's interesting. It's not even that you feel like um you want to be separate from people. It's almost like, again, that you're careful with what you say. That's definitely what I get. Because again, this person's sheltering their thoughts, right? And they have all 7 swords, right? So they're defending, they're kind of protecting. You protect what you believe, and you're not real open to throw out what you believe. Um, I do see this more. There's actually videos that I've seen here on YouTube that talk about that. You talk about people who, it could be like in a work environment where if it could be even political, right? Nowadays, you don't go around people don't go around spouting what they believe, right? You don't go running around saying, I'm pro-life or I'm pro-choice, because you'll get censure, right? Inevitably, you don't, and you feel like you'll be judged, or worse, ostracized. Because what if you're in an environment that's very traditional and you are very liberal, or vice versa? What if you're in a surrounding area that's very liberal? And it's funny, you're seeing so much of this now with the pandemic. People who will chew you out. How dare you not wear a mask as you're walking in? And it could have been that you just forgot. There's a cute meme that shows this eagle stomping back to his car like, I forgot my darn mask. It's sometimes not intentional, and it's kind of like that energy. It's like everything is so heated now, everything is so judgmental, everything is so harsh, that I do just get the sense that it's like in your early life you were very open. The other thing that I kind of get is in your early life you were really in tune, you were open to learning all these things. But your current energy, it's almost like as you grew up a little bit, maybe you studied astrology, you studied all these new age things, and then as you spent more time in the adult world, you just learned that, okay, I can't come out and say I practice divination, or that I understand all the moon cycles. A lot of times when someone says, well, did you know it's a blue moon on Halloween, people think that you're gonna, like, wax yourself down in Crisco and go running through the moonbeams naked or something. There's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of judgment. So I think what it is that you do feel like a lone wolf. And the other vibe that I kind of get from this is that experiences in your life have made you feel like you're different, or that you wouldn't be accepted. I do see this card, and particularly this depiction, come out when you see someone who's at a time in their life where they haven't met their tribe yet. Like when someone's a little bit lost, and we've all had it, right? We've had that moment. Like, I'm a writer, and all of my really good friends, I have learned through my writing groups. Like, I joined online writing groups, or I joined, online tarot groups. And it's like, but before that, before that happened, before I actually made those connections, I would have felt like this person. I would have, and especially, the other thing is that this could be a person in your life, right? You could be the high priestess, and you could have come across someone who hasn't found their tribe yet, and someone who's kind of hiding, right? Who's doing the lone wolf thing. They're trying to keep their ideas separate from the rest of the world because they feel like they'd be ostracized or condemned for it. Maybe not even condemned, but they just feel like they wouldn't be accepted, or there's some reason. I get a real strong kind of hermit energy, like somebody who doesn't want to they don't want to expose themselves. This could be someone who practices something that's a little bit different, and they're afraid to come out and show people that's what they do. Because that's another kind of, again, before you meet your tribe, before you join the group, um, there's a moment of truth there, because you really have to put your foot forward. You have to take that first step and say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and show people that I like to knit, or I like to crochet, or I like to do this. But here I'm definitely getting a more spiritual vibe. I'm getting a little bit more, maybe you have a very unique spiritual gift, and it doesn't even have to be divination. It could be, maybe you're really good at giving sermons about the Bible, but you almost, I almost get a sense like, okay, should I go forth with this when these ideas are mine, you know because the other thing is, the high priestess is very mysterious. She doesn't, high priestess is about stepping back. It's not a real flamboyant energy. One other way that I can read this again is that if you are of a certain sexual orientation, and you're not sure, again, if you haven't come out, or if you don't know if it would be acceptable for you to either come out to your family, or for you to come out in public. That's kind of this energy here, right? And so, but I'm definitely getting a high priestess. I am getting that you have some kind of special gift that you're afraid to show. you're keeping all of those thoughts to yourself. Either that or you're all up in your thoughts. There is a little bit of a fear element here. It's like you're sheltering your thoughts. You don't want them to be seen. The other thing is that it makes you a bit of a mystery. A lot of people look at you and they kind of question what you do, because I don't think that you're not putting that on a billboard, what you do. So you might be a mystery to quite a few people. And I also get the sense that there might have been people who have reached out to you to try to kind of connect with you, but you might have stayed in that lone wolf energy. You might have kind of shied away because you don't really want to. You're afraid of sharing that energy or those thoughts with anyone. Now, underneath it, we got the Seven of Cups. And the Seven of Cups is really interesting. It's like, it's that feeling kind of lost. And again, guys, I'm getting that feeling kind of lost energy. And this is emotional choices, right? It's almost like you're all tied up in your head. You don't know what emotional path to take. And so this could be career related. The other thing is I'm seeing a big moon here, and we have a blue moon in Taurus. It's funny, throughout the whole reading, we did the weekly energy card reading, and it's a blue moon on Halloween, and I thought it was a full moon in Libra. It's not a full moon in Libra. It's a full moon in Taurus. There's a lot of fixed energies in the sky, like the sun is in Scorpio. We have a lot of Aquarius energy in the mix. So, and Aquarius is a very aloof, kind of independent energy as well. But I definitely get a sense that there's something very special about you. There's something that's very spiritual, and you know a lot. You are this wealth of information, but you're not, what I'm getting is you don't know how to express that in the world. And you're feeling a little emotionally adrift and very mentally closed off. Like you don't want to make the wrong move, and you're not, you it's almost like you want to know, you want to have a game plan on how you're going to express or show yourself to the world. um you could have some kind of special gift. I mean, this could be, if you see this kind of next to more fire cards, you could have like an acting ability, or something, really a gift. You have a gift, and you have a lot of spiritual energy, but I do get the sense that you're kind of hiding it, or you're keeping it to yourself because you don't know where to go. You're feeling a little lost. One other thing is that you might be questioning your path, your path, your spiritual path. Sometimes we do have those moments in life where we just have kind of a crisis of faith. It could quite be that you might be having a contrast. Maybe you're of a different faith than your religious partner. The other thing that I kind of get from this is that you might have gone along with the status quo, but now you really want to break away from it. Maybe it is a situation where you have to tell someone, well, I want to change faith, or, or quite honestly, I do get a sense that it's almost like by going in search of your path, you would be exposing yourself, and you're not comfortable doing that. Like, you don't want anybody to know what it is that you do or how you feel. You want to keep that kind of private, and you have a reason for that. You have a reason for that. But the future energy is really quite beautiful, guys. And what I think is so lovely about this is that it really looks like she has a cloak on in all three cards. Like, she has this kind of gossamer coat veil, and it looks like the same veil here. And and the hair looks really kind of the same in the middle and third cards. I think you are on a journey. You're on a journey, and I think also what I'm kind of getting with this being Nine of Pentacles, you might be deciding whether or not something that you felt was a side talent, something that you kind of do clandestinely, you might be deciding whether or not you want to turn that into a business. But you know how when you turn it into a business, you kind of have to put your name on it, your face on it, right? And again, I went through that same anxiety before I started my channel. I was like, oh my gosh, my family's going to think I'm nuts. But, here I am a year later, and it's what I love to do, right? It seems like it's like your soul, it's your soul mission. And I think right now you're in the 7 energy, but it's going from the 7 to the 9. So I think you are going to pick a cup. You're going to pick a cup and you're going to make that choice. And I think you're going to slowly kind of venture out. You're going to slowly kind of let yourself be seen. And it's going to be very lucrative. Very lucrative. The other thing is that the 9 is beautiful. Not only is she financially abundant, she's very free, right? She doesn't rely on anyone. The other thing is that I think it's going to be such a relief for you to be yourself. I'm getting a strong sense of identity here. It's almost like you just want to be yourself. And the gray in her hair, it's almost like that wisdom, and actually we'll get to this in a minute. I do get a sense that this is a little bit more of a lifetime kind of thing. I don't think this is weekly or yearly, because you see she has long hair dark hair as she's young, and then more presently it's lighter hair like gray. So I think you might be deciding, one thing that I do kind of get from this is that maybe you have more spiritual leanings and you've never really showed them to the world. And as you get kind of midlife, again, we talked about that, you don't get all the time in the world. If you want to live your true authentic self, if you feel like you've been hiding or if you felt emotionally lost, when you kind of let yourself be free, that is owning your inner drive, right? Because the inner drive is the falcon, and that's very scorpionic energy. The eagle or the falcon is the evolved Scorpio. It's you owning your base desires, your base drives. And I see you not only being really proud of what you do, you feel like you are expressing yourself like your true soul self, but you're also going to be financially benefiting from it. Like you'll be independent financially, and you'll be independent of anybody's opinions of you. And that's your future energy, guys. And gosh, that's just gorgeous. That's bomb.com. And honestly, both the High Priestess and the Nine of Pentacles, you're bomb.com anyway. But but I think you're really just going to go into your true self. The other thing is that the 9 is a sense of value. I think you're going to have a strong sense of value. Because this is very uncertain energy. Where you are currently, you feel very uncertain. But in your future, you feel very steady. You feel like you've conquered this conflict, and you've come forth with your true self. And what we see with your oracle cards is you got the Rider, which is the 9 of Cups. It's another 9. It's the 9 of Hearts, but it's messenger, movement, travel, news, goals, progress. And then you got the Lily, which is ambition, experience, development, achievement, maturity, and sexuality. So what I get the sense that, you probably presently feel a little bit stuck, but you're gonna go through a process of movement, of change, and you're gonna start making the changes, and it's gonna really, you're not only gonna feel really matured, but you're gonna put your experience to good use, and it's gonna give you that maturity. That's the other thing I get, the maturity with the gray hair in this. You're really going to evolve is what I'm kind of getting. You're going to move, you're going to start moving, right? Because right here you got someone who's hiding out in a tree trunk, and someone who's standing in the middle of the moonlight, right? Being lost. Then you have someone who's riding towards the sun, right? Towards clarity. So you are going to make a decision about what you want to do. And I think that decision, that change, that movement is going to be an expression of I'm getting true north. I keep hearing true north, like a compass, like your north node. You're going to follow who you're meant to be. And I do think that there's one person in all of these cards. So I do think that it's an independent energy. I don't think that you're going to be relying on anyone. But I also think that you don't need anybody to, not vindicate, but you don't need anybody to authenticate you. You authenticate yourself, right? But you are going to be, the thing that I also get is that this might be some fear of being on your own. And what the universe is telling you is that you have everything that you need to be successful. And it's going to give you a lot of achievement. It's going to give you a lot of achievement, and you're going to be just fine. You'll financially be fine, you know, and you're going to have a strong sense of value in yourself. So that's really beautiful, guys. I really think that that interpretation is really, really unique. And definitely, you know, again, that Seven of Swords energy doesn't have to be, you know, deception. Sometimes it can be, you know, kind of feeling like you're hiding, maybe even hiding from yourself a little bit. And, you know, allow yourself to be seen. But wow, guys, okay, yeah, this read definitely went a little longer, but I hope you enjoyed. As you can tell, this card was a complex one, and I was excited to read it. It's definitely, it is what it is, and it's very, very cool. But I hope that you have a good week. We do have a full moon in Taurus, a blue moon on Halloween. So I hope that you have a good Halloween, that it's fun and enjoyable. If you're, if you're watching this at the time, um, that it posts, please be safe as you're going out in the world, as if you're trick or treating or with friends. And if you're so inclined, please check me out. I will be posting the weekly energy card reading on the 31st again. And we may try to do a special video. We'll see. It's been a little bit of a busy week, but we'll try. But I hope I can catch you then, and I'll see you then. Bye.